Welcome back to another episode of Valuable Coins, where we dive deep into the world of numismatics, uncovering the most valuable and unique coins in the market today. If you're a coin enthusiast, collector, or simply interested in the incredible value of rare coins, you're in the right place. In today's video, we will explore two of the most fascinating and expensive United States coins currently circulating the auction market. First up, the 1946 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny. The specific coin we'll be discussing has a large date, no mint mark, a red color shade, is in damaged condition, and has some scratches. Let's explore everything you need to know about this coin, from its history and design to its condition and today's market value. Let's begin with some background. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, officially known as the Lincoln Cent, was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature the image of an actual person and quickly became one of the most widely used coins in American history. The design was created by Victor David Brenner. On the obverse, we see Lincoln's portrait facing right, with the words "In God We Trust" above liberty on the left, and the date, in this case, 1946, on the right. Turning to the reverse, the design features two wheat stalks on either side of the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, along with the motto E pluribus unum at the top. This wheat reverse was used from 1909 until 1958, after which it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design starting in 1959. Now, let's talk about the specific details of your coin. The absence of a mint mark indicates that it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1946, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 991 million Lincoln Wheat Pennies, making this a very high mintage year. This means the coin is fairly common and not considered rare based on mint numbers alone. You also mentioned that your coin has a large date. While most 1946 Lincoln cents have a fairly standard date size, slight variations in date sizes can occur due to die differences during production. A noticeably large or bold date might add a small premium in collector interest, especially if it's visually distinct. But this is usually only significant on uncirculated coins or well-known varieties. Let's move on to color and condition. The red color shade you described refers to the original copper tone that many Lincoln cents had when they were newly minted. Pennies struck from 1909 to 1942 were made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. After 1942 and during the war years, composition briefly changed. But in 1946, the mint returned to the standard bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc, which explains the red tone your coin may still show in places, especially if it hasn't been completely worn down. However, the damaged condition and scratches do affect the coin's value significantly. In numismatic terms, a damaged coin means it has surface issues that go beyond normal wear. It may be bent, corroded, pitted, or otherwise physically harmed. Light scratches from circulation are common, but when combined with heavier damage, it reduces collector interest considerably. In terms of grading, your coin might fall into the good to about good category if the damage is extensive, or possibly fine if the damage is light and the major details are still visible. Either way, coins in this condition are typically valued at or slightly above face value. Because 1946 pennies are so common and can be found in high grades for just a small premium, damaged or heavily circulated examples usually sell for 1 to 3 cents. That said, red-colored Lincoln cents in an uncirculated condition, known as red or road by grading standards, can command higher prices. For example, a certified MS-65 red 1946 Lincoln cent can sell for $100 to $200 or more, depending on the market. But for circulated or damaged examples, the price is usually minimal. There are no major mint errors or key varieties for the 1946. No mint mark penny that would significantly increase value. However, it's always worth double-checking for any doubling in the date or letters or other striking errors. True mint errors can increase value significantly, even for coins in rough condition. Next up, the 1998 Washington quarter dollar with the D mint mark. A coin that may look silver in color, but has a few surprises under the surface. If your coin has a silver tone, is a bit dirty, and has some scratches, don't worry, you're not alone. Many people are curious about whether these coins are valuable or even rare. So let's break it all down and find out what your 1998D quarter is really worth in today's market. To start, let's talk about the coin itself. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. Originally created to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. Its design has become iconic in American coinage, with Washington's profile on the front, or obverse, and the eagle on the reverse, which remained standard until the state. Quarters began in 1999. The 1998 issue was the last regular year of the classic eagle reverse before the changeover to the state quarter program. Now, about the metal content. It's a common question, is the 1998D Washington quarter silver? The answer is no. Even though it may have a silver-colored appearance, this coin is not made of silver. The U.S. Mint stopped using silver in circulating quarters after 1964. Since then, regular quarters like the 1998D have been made with a copper-nickel clad composition. Outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The silver shine comes from the nickel. But there's no actual silver content unless the coin is a rare special issue or error. Your coin has D mint mark, which means it was struck at the Denver Mint. In 1998, the Denver Mint produced over 821 million Washington quarters, making this one of the more common modern quarters in circulation. With such a high mintage number, these coins are generally easy to find and not considered rare. That doesn't mean they're worthless, but condition plays a major role in determining whether a coin holds collector value. Let's focus on the condition you mentioned. A 1998D quarter with a silver shade, some dirt, and visible scratches would fall into the category of circulated or lower-grade condition. In this condition, most of these coins sell for face value $35,000, or just slightly more, typically no more than 30 to 50 cents on average. If a coin is badly worn or has heavy dirt and scratches, its value remains very low unless it has some unusual feature like a mint error. Now, if your coin happens to have a special error such as a double die off-center strike, clipped planchette, or other minting mistake, that's where things get more interesting. Certain mint errors from the 1990s can be worth anywhere from $10 to $100 or more, depending on the type and visibility of the error. These coins are often graded and authenticated by professional services like PCGs or NGC. So if you think your 1998D quarter has something odd about it, it's worth examining under a magnifying glass or loupe. There's also the factor of color, tone, or surface shade. Sometimes, coins that develop a unique tone due to age, environmental exposure, or storage conditions can attract collector interest. However, in most cases, if the color change is caused by dirt or corrosion, it can lower the value. Natural toning, especially blues, purples, or golden hues, can occasionally increase a coin's appeal, but that's rare, especially with modern clad quarters like this one. To get a more exact idea of your coin's current market value, it's helpful to browse recent online auctions like eBay or heritage auctions. Look for 1998D quarters in similar conditions circulated, dirty and scratch, to see what actual buyers are paying. You'll likely see values ranging from $500 depending on visual appeal and seller presentation. Coins in pristine condition or with errors might sell for more, but yours, as described, likely remains on the lower end of the value scale. Even though your 1998 D quarter might not be a rare find, it's still part of American coinage history. Next up, we're taking a close look at a 1956 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with a large date, a D mint mark, and a condition that can only be described as fully damaged with visible scratches. Whether you're a longtime coin collector or just starting out, this video will give you the complete story behind this coin and what it might be worth in today's market. Let's start with the background. The Lincoln wheat penny is one of the most iconic coins in American history. First issued in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait. The design was created by Victor David Brenner and features a right-facing profile of Lincoln on the obverse, along with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year in this case, 1956. On the reverse, the wheat ears design includes the words 1 cent, United States of America, and the Latin phrase E pluribus unum. Now, let's talk about the mint mark. Your coin has a D mint mark, which means it was struck at the Denver Mint. In 1956, the Denver Mint produced over 1 billion Lincoln wheat pennies, to be precise, more than 1.05 billion. That's a massive quantity, making the 1956D one of the more common wheat pennies in circulation. Because of the high mintage, this coin is not considered rare in general. You also mentioned that your coin has a large date, while the date size on 1956D pennies is standard. Collectors sometimes refer to date size when distinguishing between certain varieties. However, in this case, there are no widely recognized large date or small date varieties for the 1956D Lincoln cent. The term might simply refer to how the numbers appear due to die wear or coin damage. Let's now discuss the coin's condition, which is one of the most important factors in determining its value. You described it as being in full damage condition with scratches. In coin collecting, damage refers to anything that has compromised the coin's original surface, such as corrosion, pitting, bending, cleaning marks, heavy scratches, or other physical issues. A coin in full damage condition usually has heavy wear, is missing detail, or may even be structurally compromised. This places the coin well below the lowest standard grading level used by collectors. Because of this, a coin would not fall into a collectible grade like good, fine, or very fine. It would be considered a damaged or cull coin, which generally removes any numismatic value it may have had, even if it's a coin from a historic period. Collectors typically avoid damaged coins unless they are extremely rare or contain silver or gold, which this coin does not. That brings us to metal composition. The 1956D Lincoln wheat penny is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which gives it that classic reddish-brown or red tone when it's in better condition. While it's not made of silver, the high copper content gives it some value in bulk to those who collect pre-1982 copper pennies. However, due to its damaged condition, even copper stackers might not pay more than face value for it. So what is your 1956 D penny worth in today's market? In damaged condition with scratches, its value is typically around 1 cent, or face value. Some buyers who purchase copper pennies in bulk might pay slightly more, maybe 2 to 3 cents per coin, but only if the coin is physically intact. Unfortunately, full damage severely limits resale potential in the collector market. Now, are there any exceptions that might raise the value of a 1956D penny only in specific cases? There are some known repunched, mint mark RPM varieties and other small die errors associated with this year and mint. These varieties can increase value significantly, sometimes up to $10 to $50, or more in high grades, but only if the coin is in collectible condition and the error is easily visible. On a damaged coin, it is very unlikely that such features would be clear enough to verify or carry additional value. Next up, we're focusing on the 1992 Washington quarter dollar with the D Mint mark. If you have this coin and it shows a silver color shade but is in bad condition with some scratches, you're probably wondering what it's really worth and whether it's worth keeping or selling. Let's dive into everything you need to know about this coin, its composition, condition, and value in today's market. The Washington quarter has been a staple in American currency since it was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design has become iconic, featuring Washington's profile on the front and the classic eagle on the reverse. The 1992 quarter is part of the traditional series, minted before the state quarters program began in 1999. Your coin's D Mint. Mark tells us it was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the two primary mints striking quarters for circulation at that time. One of the first things many people want to know is whether a 1992 Washington quarter is silver. While it might appear silver in color, especially if it has a certain shine or tone, quarters minted after 1964 are not made of silver. The United States Mint stopped using 90% silver in quarters starting in 1965 due to rising silver prices, and moved to a copper-nickel-clad composition. This means your 1992D quarter has outer layers of copper and nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The nickel gives it that silvery color. But there is no actual silver content in the coin. Your coin's condition plays a big role in determining its value. Since you mentioned it's in bad condition with scratches, this means it has been well circulated and shows significant signs of wear. Scratches, dirt, and surface damage can reduce a coin's appeal and collector value significantly. In such a condition, most 1992D quarters are worth just their face value of 25 cents, or slightly more to collectors who want a complete set and don't mind the wear. For collectors, condition grades like good, very good, fine, and so on indicate the coin's level of wear. A coin in bad condition would usually fall into the good or about good category, where much of the detail is worn down and scratches or nicks are evident. These coins are common and do not carry a premium in most cases. However, if your coin has any unusual features, such as minting errors or varieties, that can increase its value. Some 1992 quarters are known to have doubling on the obverse or reverse or minor die cracks. While these errors are rare, they are highly sought after by collectors and can sometimes be worth several dollars or more. So it's worth examining your coin closely under magnification or consulting a coin expert if you suspect any anomalies. Another factor that can affect a coin's value is toning or color. Natural toning occurs when a coin reacts chemically with air over time, creating colors like gold, blue, or purple. This can sometimes add collector interest if the toning is attractive and natural. But since your coin is described as having a silver color shade in bad condition with scratches, the toning is likely just surface discoloration or dirt, which doesn't increase value and might even lower it. If you want to find out what's similar coins are selling for right now, the best way is to check completed sales on auction sites like eBay. Look for 1992D Washington quarters in similar condition, bad or worn with scratches to see the prices. You'll likely find that they sell around face value to about 50 cents, depending on the buyer and condition specifics. Coins in better condition can fetch more, but heavily worn examples are not usually valuable. Even though your 1992D quarter might not be worth a lot in cash, it's still a piece of history and part of the ongoing story of American coinage. It's a reminder of the everyday currency millions used and collected. For many people starting out in coin collecting, coins like these are a great way to begin learning about grading, mint marks, and the importance of condition in coin value. Next up, the 1944 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny. The coin we're talking about today features a large date, has no mint mark, shows a red color tone, and is in dirty condition with some scratches. So what does that all mean for collectors? And more importantly, what is this coin worth in today's market? Let's break it all down. First, let's dive into the history. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was first introduced in 1909. It's designed by Victor David Brenner to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. And it quickly became one of the most collected and beloved coins in U.S. history. The front, or obverse, shows a right-facing portrait of Lincoln with the words, "In God We Trust," above liberty to the left, and the date on the right. The reverse side shows 2 wheat ears along the edges, with the inscriptions 1 cent United States of America and E pluribus unno. Your coin is from 1944, which is a significant year in the Lincoln cent series. The 1944 penny was minted during the final years of World War II, just 1 year after the famous 1943 steel penny. In 1943, the U.S. Mint made pennies from steel coated in zinc to save copper for the war effort. But in 1944, the Mint returned to using copper thanks to reclaimed shell casings from the battlefield. So, your 1944 penny is made from what's often referred to as shell case bronze, an alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This material gives the coin its classic reddish tone, which collectors often describe as red, red-brown, or brown, depending on the condition and preservation of the original copper color. You also mentioned that the coin has no mint mark, which tells us it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1944, Philadelphia struck an incredible 1.4 billion Lincoln cents, making this one of the most common dates in the entire wheat penny series. That means it's not rare, but it is certainly historic and collectible for the right person. As for the large date, in 1944, the numerals were consistent across most dies, so there is no major small date or large date variety recognized by collectors. The large date term may simply describe the visible prominence of the date on your particular coin, perhaps due to die wear or how it was struck, but it doesn't reflect a distinct or rare variety in this case. Let's now talk about condition, which is a major factor in coin value. You described your 1944 penny as having a red color shade, in dirty condition, and with some scratches. In coin collecting, red coloration can be valuable, but only if the coin is in excellent, uncirculated condition. A circulated coin like yours that is dirty and scratched loses that advantage. Dirty condition likely refers to surface buildup, discoloration, or exposure to moisture and other elements over time, which reduces visual appeal. Scratches are expected in circulated coins, but if they're deep or cover the main design elements, they can further hurt the value. So where does that leave us in terms of value? For a 1944 no mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny in dirty circulated condition, the value is typically between 1 and 3 cents. Even with the red tone, the condition is what holds it back from a higher price. These coins were produced in such high numbers that only those in mint state or with rare errors fetch strong premiums. A high-grade, uncirculated red specimen can go for $5 to $20 or more, especially when professionally graded. But circulated examples like yours are generally worth just slightly over face value. Next up, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar with a P mint mark. If your coin appears silver in color, has some light scratches, and is in overall good condition, you may be curious about whether it's made of real silver or has collector value. Stick around, because we're going to break it all down. Let's start with a bit of history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin design, created by John Flanagan, features a left-facing profile of Washington on the front, or obverse, and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse, a design that remained standard until the state quarters began in 1999. The 1982 quarter falls into that classic era of American coinage. And for collectors, it's part of the last 2 decades before the design changed. Now, let's address one of the most common questions. Is the 1982 Washington quarter made of silver? While your coin might have a bright silver-colored shine, especially when it's clean or worn just right, it is not made of silver. The U.S. Mint stopped using 90% silver in quarters after 1964, starting in 1965. All regular circulating quarters, including the 1982 version, have been made of a copper-nickel-clad composition. That means the outer layers are 75% copper and 25% nickel, with a solid copper core inside. There's no precious metal content in a typical 1982 quarter. The P Mint mark on your coin tells us that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which was one of the major facilities producing quarters in that year. Interestingly, 1982 was a year of economic challenge and coin shortages, which led to some changes in the way coins were made and distributed. One notable thing about this year is that the U.S. Mint did not release uncirculated mint sets to the public in 1982 or 1983. That makes high-quality examples of coins from these 2 years a bit harder to find in pristine condition. In your case, the coin is in good condition but has some scratches. That places it in the lower to mid-circulated grade range. Most collectors would describe that as good or very good, depending on how much wear is visible and how many details remain. Coins in this condition are common and usually valued just slightly above face value. For a 1982 P Washington quarter in average circulated condition with some scratches, the market value is typically between 30 cents and $10. If the coin is in better condition, it's like extremely fine or almost uncirculated, it could be worth $1 to $3 to the right collector. Mint state examples, coins that were never circulated and show no signs of wear, can sell for $5 to $25. And in rare cases, even more if professionally graded. But for a coin with visible scratches and general wear, its value is mostly modest. There's also the possibility of error coins. Sometimes coins from this period were struck off-center, had die cracks, or showed signs of doubling. These minting mistakes can be much more valuable, depending on how dramatic or rare the error is. Some error coins from 1982 have sold for $50 to $150 or more. But these are special cases and usually need to be verified by a grading service or coin expert. Another interesting feature of your coin could be natural toning or discoloration. Over time, coins develop unique surface shades depending on how and where they were stored. Some coins tone into beautiful blues, golds, or purples. While light toning can increase interest, especially on higher-grade coins, it usually doesn't add much to the value of circulated coins, especially those with scratches or surface damage. If you want to know exactly how your 1982 P quarter compares, take a look at online auction sites like eBay or coin marketplaces. Search for completed listings of 1982 P quarters in similar condition, and you'll see most sell in the range of 25 cents to $1. Higher grade or error examples are exceptions, not the rule, even though your 1982 quarter might not be made of silver or extremely rare. It still holds value not just in the market, but as a part of U.S. history. It marks a time when coin production was affected by economic conditions, and it remains a must-have for anyone building a full-day tanned mint set of Washington quarters. Next up, the 1935 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny. This particular coin features a large date, was minted without a mint mark, and is in very fine condition with some light scratches from circulation. It's a coin that has passed through generations. And today, we'll uncover its story, historical background, and current market value. Let's begin with the history of the Lincoln wheat penny itself. First issued in 1909, the Lincoln cent was designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to depict a real person. The obverse of the coin features a right-facing portrait of Lincoln, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" above liberty to the left and the date on the right side. The reverse carries the iconic wheat ears on both sides of the words 1 cent, United States of America, and the motto E pluribus unum. Your coin is from 1935, a year that falls in the heart of the Great Depression era. In the midst of economic hardship, millions of Americans were carrying and spending pennies like these for daily needs. Despite the tough times, coin production continued steadily. The Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark at the time, produced over 245 million Lincoln cents in 1935, a high mintage by any standard of the day. So while the coin is quite old, it's not considered rare, just based on production. Numbers you mentioned, your 1935 Lincoln penny has a large date. While this isn't an official variety for the year, meaning there is no known small date or large date version, sometimes coins appear to have larger-looking numerals due to die wear, striking differences, or simply the natural look of the 1935 font style. Still, it's worth noting that no special value is attributed to a large date appearance from this year. Now, let's talk about condition. Your coin is in very fine VF condition, which is a solid mid-level circulated grade. In numismatic grading, a coin in very fine condition still shows strong details. On a Lincoln penny, this means most of Lincoln's hair, jawline, and cheek features are visible. On the reverse, the wheat ears are still clear, though the lines in the stalks may be worn down slightly. You also mentioned the coin has some scratches, which is common for a coin that's been in circulation for nearly 90 years. As long as those scratches aren't too deep or covering major design details, they typically don't drastically affect value at this grade. Let's also quickly review the composition of the coin. Like most Lincoln cents from this era, the 1935 wheat penny was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The high copper content gives older pennies a warm red or brown tone, depending on how they've aged and whether they were stored well. In very fine condition, it's common to see a blend of reddish-brown and darker copper tones. So, how much is a 1935 Lincoln wheat penny worth in today's market? For a coin with no mint mark in very fine condition, the typical value ranges from 25 cents to 50 cents, depending on eye appeal and the presence of any discoloration, corrosion, or heavier marks. While this may not seem like a lot, it's still far above face value and significantly more if you compare it to its original purchasing power back in 1935. If your coin were in uncirculated mint state condition, it could be worth anywhere from $500 to $700 or more. Depending on its color, red coins and MS-65 can go even higher. However, in circulated grades like very fine, the main value comes from its history, copper content, and collector interest, especially among those assembling full Lincoln wheat cent sets by year and mint. It's also good to be aware of any possible errors, though none are officially noted as major errors for the 1935 Philadelphia penny. Still, it's always worth checking your coin for things like die cracks, off-center strikes, or doubling on the date or letters. Rare errors can raise the value significantly, even on circulated coins. Up the 1972 Washington quarter dollar with the D mint mark, a coin that's often mistaken for silver. If you have one of these coins in your collection, or you've come across it in your pocket change and it has some scratches but still looks decent, you might be wondering if it's worth holding on to or even selling. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what you've got and how much it could be worth in today's coin market. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter first appeared in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of President George Washington. The front of the coin, known as the obverse, features his profile, while the reverse shows a bald eagle with its wings spread, perched on arrows with olive branches beneath a symbol of strength and peace. The coin we're focusing on today was minted in 1972 and carries the D Mint mark, meaning it was struck at the Denver Mint. Now, here's something important that many collectors and beginners ask. Is the 1972 quarter made of silver? The answer is no. Although it might have a silvery appearance, quarters minted after 1964 are no longer made with silver. Instead, starting in 1965, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. Now, this means your 1972D quarter is made from layers of copper and nickel, not precious silver. There are rare cases where a quarter from this period was accidentally struck on a leftover silver planchette from an earlier year. But these are extremely uncommon and usually discovered through weight testing or professional grading. With over 311 million Washington quarters minted in Denver in 1972, this particular coin is far from rare. That doesn't mean it's worthless, but its value depends heavily on condition and whether there are any unusual features like errors. Since your coin is in good condition but has some scratches, it falls into the circulated category, which most collectors would call good to very good grade in this condition. A typical 1972D quarter is usually worth somewhere between 30 cents and $1 on the collector market. That's a little more than face value, but not by much. If the coin were in very fine or extremely fine condition, with sharper details and less wear, the price could rise slightly, maybe around $1 to $3. However, if your coin were uncirculated and showed no signs of wear, it could be worth $50 to $100. Or even more if it's been professionally graded as Mint State 65 or higher, but with scratches and signs of use. Your coin is most likely on the lower end of the scale. Now let's talk about what could make a coin like this more valuable. One of the most exciting possibilities is the presence of a mint error. While they're rare, some 1972D quarters have been discovered with interesting mistakes from the minting process, such as double die overs, clipped planchettes, or off-center strikes. These types of coins can sell for significantly more, ranging from $20 to even a few $100s depending on the error and overall condition. If you think your coin might have one of these errors, it's worth taking a close look using a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, and even considering having it looked at by a professional. Another factor that can affect value is toning. Sometimes coins develop unique colors due to chemical reactions with air or moisture over time. While scratches typically reduce value, attractive natural toning such as rainbow or golden hues can sometimes increase interest from collectors. But this only applies if the toning is natural and visually appealing. To find out what your coin is really worth today, the best strategy is to look at completed sales on platforms like eBay or coin auction sites. Look for coins in similar condition with D-Mint, mark, and visible scratches to see what people are actually paying. That gives you the most accurate idea of your coin's real-world value, even if your 1972D Washington quarter isn't a rare silver coin or a high-end collector piece. It still holds value as a part of American numismatic history. It reflects a time of change in U.S. coin production, and for many collectors, every coin has a story worth preserving. Next up, the 1938 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny, featuring a large date, a D-Mint mark, and found in extra fine condition with some light scratches. Whether you're a longtime coin collector, a new hobbyist, or just someone curious about an old coin you found in a drawer, this episode will break down everything you need to know about this penny, from history to value in today's market. Let's begin with a bit of background. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, first introduced in 1909, is one of the most recognized and collected coins in American history. It was created to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, the coin features a right-facing portrait of Lincoln on the obverse, surrounded by the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year of issue. The reverse side features two stylized wheat stalks on either side of the denomination, one cent with the United States of America and the Latin motto E pluribus unum above your coin is from the year 1938. Minted during the Great Depression era, a time when coins held significant purchasing power. The D-Mint mark on your coin tells us it was minted at the Denver Mint, one of the main facilities of the U.S. Mint system. In that year, the Denver Mint produced just under 20 million Lincoln cents specifically, about 20,010,000. Compared to other Lincoln wheat pennies, that's a relatively low mintage, making the 1938D a bit scarcer than more common years like 1944 or 1956. That slightly lower mintage can add a modest premium, especially in higher grades. You also mentioned your coin has a large date. While there are no officially recognized large date versus small date varieties for 1938D, collectors sometimes describe coins this way based on how bold or prominent the numbers appear. Die wear and strike strength can make certain digits look slightly larger or thicker. But this doesn't typically affect value unless the difference is tied to a recognized variety, which is not the case for this date. Now, let's talk about condition, which plays a huge role in a coin's market value. You describe the coin as being in extra fine condition, also known as XF or EF in coin grading. That's a strong grade for a coin that's over 85 years old. In extra fine condition, the coin will still show most of the finer details of Lincoln's face, hair, and jawline. On the reverse, the wheat stalks will have nearly full lines. The coin will retain a solid overall shape, though with visible wear on the high points. The light scratches you mentioned are typical for circulated coins, but do slightly affect eye appeal, as long as the scratches aren't deep or across critical design elements. The coin remains desirable to collectors in terms of composition. The 1938D wheat penny is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a rich red-brown tone when preserved well. Over time, these copper coins can tone into deep browns or even develop greenish spots depending on storage conditions. A coin in extra fine condition often retains some of its original luster and reddish hue, even with a bit of wear. Now, on to the value. In today's collector market, a 1938D Lincoln wheat penny in extra fine condition typically sells for around $1 to $2 USD, depending on the exact eye appeal and level of preservation. If the coin were in uncirculated or mint state MS condition, it could easily be worth $10 to $20 or more, especially in red color grades. But even in circulated extra fine grade, it holds significantly more value than face value due to its age, scarcity compared to common years, and collector demand. As always, it's worth checking for errors or varieties. While the 1938D doesn't have any major varieties known to increase value significantly, always look closely for things like repunched mint marks, RPMs, or doubling in the lettering or date. Some subtle errors can raise a coin's value even. In mid-range conditions, if you ever think you spot something unusual, it's worth getting a second opinion from a coin dealer or grading service. To summarize, your 1938D Lincoln wheat penny featuring a large date in extra fine condition with light scratches is a solid mid-grade collectible with a modestly low mintage and decent condition. It currently holds a value in the range of $10 to $20 in today's coin market. While not a rare or high-value coin, it remains a meaningful piece of U.S. coin history and a great addition to any wheat penny collection. Next up, the most recognized coins in American circulation. In today's video, we're going to take a closer look at the 1979 Washington quarter dollar with the D-Mint mark, a coin that often gets mistaken for silver, especially when it still has its shine. If your coin appears silver in color, has some scratches, and is in overall fine condition, you might be wondering how much it's worth and if it's something rare or valuable. Let's break it all down and find out exactly what this coin means for collectors and what it's going for in today's auction market. To start, the Washington quarter has a long and proud history. It was first issued in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday, and its design by John Flanagan remained mostly unchanged until the state quarters were introduced in 1999. On the obverse of the coin, you'll find the familiar profile of George Washington, with the inscriptions "Liberty in God We Trust," and the date, in this case, 1979. On the reverse, you'll see the classic American eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength. Framed by olive branches to represent peace, the D mint mark just to the right of Washington's ponytail means this particular coin was minted in Denver. In 1979, the Denver Mint struck over 489 million quarters, which makes the 1979D quarter one of the more common coins from that period. But many collectors and non-collectors alike still wonder, is the 1979D quarter made of silver? The short answer is no. Although it may look silver, it's a common misunderstanding, especially because of the coin's color. Quarters minted before 1965 were made of 90% silver, but beginning in 1965, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition for all circulating quarters. That means your 1979D quarter has a core of pure copper and an outer layer made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This gives it that silver-like appearance even though there is no actual silver content, unless your coin was accidentally struck on a leftover silver planchette, which is extremely rare. It is a standard copper-nickel-clad quarter. Now let's talk about the coin's condition. You mentioned it's in fine condition with some scratches. In coin grading terms, fine generally means moderate or on the high points of the design. But the major details are still visible. Scratches, especially light ones, are common in circulated coins and do lower the overall appeal, but they don't automatically make a coin worthless. For a coin like the 1979D quarter, the condition matters, but because it's a common date and not silver, even fine condition examples are generally valued only slightly above face value. In today's auction market, a 1979D quarter in circulated condition with light to moderate wear typically sells for 25 to 75 cents, depending on its appearance. In fine condition with some scratches, most sales fall around the 30 to 50 cent range. If the coin were in extremely fine or uncirculated condition, it could fetch between $1 and $5, especially if it has strong luster, sharp details, and no visible damage. Where things get more interesting is with mint errors or unusual varieties. Occasionally, a 1979D quarter may have a double die, an off-center strike, or a die break, all of which can significantly increase the coin's value. Some error coins from this year have sold for $50 to $200 or more, depending on the severity and rarity of the error. If you think your coin has anything unusual about it, like doubled letters, misaligned edges, or odd shapes, it's worth taking a closer look with a magnifying glass and comparing it to known varieties online. There's also the question of toning or color shade. You mentioned the coin has a silver color, which is typical for these clad quarters. But some may also develop tones of gray, brown, or even rainbow-like colors over time due to exposure to air or moisture. While some collectors love naturally toned coins, toning generally doesn't raise the value much, unless it's especially vibrant and the coin is in excellent condition. If you're curious about the real-world value of your 1979D quarter, it helps to look at completed listings on auction platforms like eBay or Heritage Auctions. Search for 1979D Washington quarter fine condition and compare coins that show a similar level of wear and scratching. You'll find that most of them sell for just a bit more than face value, which is expected for modern clad coins without silver content. So while your 1979 Quarter may not be made of silver or be considered rare. It's still a meaningful piece of American coinage history. It belongs to the last generation of traditional eagle reverse quarters and reminds us of a time before designs began to change every year. It's a great coin for beginners, for album collectors, building complete sets, and for anyone who enjoys the thrill of searching for hidden value in everyday change. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Do you have a 1979 quarter in your collection? Let us know how yours looks. Until next time, happy collecting!